What's going on, everybody? This is Courtney Rollins of Aqua Team Home Buyers, and I have a very special person here with me, Miss Krystal Payton. I'll let her introduce herself in a few moments, but I'm fortunate enough to work with Krystal in the Rising Tides intern program. As you all know, Shanita and I are in this journey, and we feel like this path to financial freedom through wholesaling and real estate investing is definitely a team sport. And as we grow and as we learn, we're trying to share as much as we can because I really feel like to be able to teach something, you have to understand it. So, in no means am I saying that we are masters or gurus or arrived at all. In fact, as I think it's the other end of the spectrum, we're trying to learn and grow. And so, if we're able to connect with great people like Krystal, it helps us refine our processes and understanding, and hopefully help that have a better impact on our lives, her life, other people's lives, and our bottom line. So, Krystal, how you doing? Why don't you explain to people who you are, how are you doing, and how you came into wholesaling and connect with the Aqua Team?
Um, Thank you for that. I'm Krystal. I got into wholesaling actually last year. I tried my hand at it, did like a mailing campaign, got one lead that I actually went out and met the lady. It didn't work out, but I didn't know what to do after that. So I kind of just let it fall to the wayside. Been looking to see if I could find somebody to just kind of help out. I kind of reached out to you guys because I found you on Instagram. So when I found you guys on Instagram, I just reached out just asking for a few pointers, and then we had a meeting when you guys told us, well, it was me, you, Shanita, and another girl, and you guys was telling us about your internship, and I applied, and I am now here. So
That's
I've been
awesome.
doing this since the beginning of February. So I think it's going well. I'm learning a lot and I'm enjoying it.
Oh, well, great, well, great. Well, I appreciate that. And Shanita, for folks who maybe don't know, is my business partner and my life partner. And she's an amazing person. She actually runs the social media and marketing. So, one part of that is posting on Instagram and sharing the story and the journey. And it's awesome that you guys were able to connect that way because we've been able to connect. Um, and so, in the Rising Tide intern program, this is we're not trying to promote a coaching program or even make no money off of it, actually, in fact. But we do have a lot of people reach out, and sometimes we just figured it would be a great way to as I said before, help share some of the things that we're learning out there. All the information is out there. It's just there's tons of information, but putting it in a way that hopefully makes sense is helpful, and also it helps us because we're receiving tons of leads. Our main source of marketing is cold calling, and to be able to handle the amount of leads that we have, it's really great to have folks like Krystal come on board and get to learn the ropes with live ammunition and help us support some of the leads, and hopefully we all have fun and make money along the way. um, so today, Krystal and I, we're going to talk about it's really you all are just witnessing us having our week. We have our weekly conversation about various topics that supports um, her growth and supports our business. And today we're talking about comping properties and how to comp properties. Um, and so I would love to show you, Krystal, some of the things that have shown to me of how to comp properties when I'm on the phone with sellers, and we can take any questions and even role play at the end. If that works for you.
Okay.
Awesome, awesome. So I'm gonna share my screen. So, you're taking the call, you're going through the script, you're qualifying the leads, and a lot of people ask. One of the main questions they ask is, how much you selling for? And as always, we want to make sure that um, I'm in the school of thought of not presenting the offer, because once you present the offer to them, like you really don't have anything else you can offer that seller. And so, um, going through our specific sell process where we set the expectations, we interview for pain and find out what their pain points are. We interview to find out what the impact of that pain is. And then we are able to hopefully address that pain in a way that solves their problem. Um, we can then at that point hopefully present something or eliminate all the obstacles or finding all the deal breakers that are in the way, then we're able to present an offer that just makes only complete sense that they actually go with us. But if we're upfront and we present the offer off top before we even know what their range or what their price or what they're looking for, we really leave very little for us to be able to offer. Now there's different schools of thoughts out there, and I must admit sometimes I will put out an offer just to see where they are, especially if they're pushing. I might just throw out a reasonable or low ball type of offer just to see if they're in the space. And I usually for that I'll just say quickly I'll go to Zillow and I actually will look at the Z estimate. And I know that's very taboo. And I'll say about 66% of that just to see, because if I can get to a no quickly, then it helps me get to that next yes quickly. And this is definitely a numbers game. Now I know the Z estimate is not a accurate description of the property value at all. But again, that's for folks who are really, really pushy on the phone and they don't seem like they're going to be a viable lead anyways. And there are other times where I will present the offer, but we'll talk about how you present it without being held to it. So let's say that you are speaking to someone and you finally qualified them through those stages that we talked about and through the CPR, the condition of the property, their price they're looking for, their reason for selling, and their timeline. I'm going to show you using an app that I use, Propstream, which is an amazing app to show how to do just that. So let me see if I can share my screen here. Let's see, share screen. Here we go. Yep. All right. So let's go over here to Propstream. Let's say we have a property that someone asked for. I usually have Propstream set up on my tab already. And this is sometimes between the calls because I quite often on that first call, I usually am just qualifying, getting as much information as possible, and it may not even present an offer. But depending on how long the conversation goes, I can hop over the Propstream and I see that this is a property that's a 5-bed, 2-bath, right? And so I'm going to go to Propstream, put the address in, and then I'll go down to where it actually says comparable and nearby listing. What's awesome about Propstream is that they have pretty accurate and updated information that's connected directly to the multiple listing service, which is the whole bunch of different conglomerations of public records and databases and realtor records that show when properties have been sold. And so what we're looking for, we're trying to figure out what is the market value. And there's about two, and please stop me anytime you have any questions. But there's two areas of thought when it comes to market value. One is that the word ARV. You've heard of that, right?
Yeah.
The after repair value. And so the after repair value is when the property's all fixed up, what is that price that it would be? And that's mostly for your flippers. Understanding the buyers that you're going for is important. So your flippers are your folks who will take a property, rehab it, and put it back on the market. That's generally what we call flippers. They're usually very, very interested in the ARV. Now, folks who are buy and hold, they're interested in ARV as well, because what they'll often do is if they don't fix it all the way up, or regardless, they'll take it to a financial institution and they want to know what the value is so they can sometimes pull or harvest some of their money out. Quite often that's about 70 to 85, depending on different circumstances, percentage of the actual value. So the ARV is important for buy and hold investors as well. And one school of thought, have you heard of the 70% rule?
Yes.
Yeah. So you want to share what that is, or do you want to go over that, or I'll put you on the spot here?
About to say, so from what I remember, the ARV, well, the 70% is literally like 70% of the ARV.
Absolutely.
So for the most part, like you kind of back out your numbers from that 70%. That's how I think I can explain it, but you can explain it more.
No, you got it. You got it. That's it. Yep. So you have a property, let's just say for easy numbers, $100,000 after repair value. You look at all the comparable apples to apples. So it's a 5-bed, 2 baths, 5-bed, 2 baths. Is it brick? Is it set up the same way? what's very important is it in the same like type of neighborhood? Does it, you know, you don't want to make sure it's crossing any huge highways or big neighborhoods, and that's why knowing your markets very well. But have all the properties in the last 6 months to maybe a year sold? What have they sold for? And let's say it's $100,000, just for the sake of you know, just knowing that 70% of that is $70,000. So that's what you're initially going to start with as the price that most flippers or even buy and hold investors are going to want. Now you back out of that, like you said, your holding costs, and that's the repairs that are the rehab that may be needed for the property, the real estate commission, the commission that you're going to have to anticipate once you sell it if you're going with a realtor, the holding costs, taxes and insurance. How long does it take for you to do the rehab? Is it going to be 2 months? And so you have to, how much of taxes and insurance each of those months? So as a flipper, you have to, or your end buyer, you have to think about what they're considering and back that out. So let's say it's a $100,000 property, 70% holding costs, and let's say it's an additional $20,000 in rehab plus all the holding costs of months, whatever. So you're at 50,000. Now you want to back out, you know, the hard work that you're doing, qualifying the leads and getting these leads. We try to aim for about $15,000 an assignment, which allows us to, you know, play. So if we're at 50,000, 15,000 minus 50. Now I taught second grade, but that's I think 35,000.
Mhm.
So we're we're trying to we're trying to lock this property up at $35,000 with our seller. And some people may say, "Wow, why would a seller sell a $100,000 house for $35,000?" Well, there's tons of factors, some tons of reasons. There's sellers that are distressed. If we're able to solve their problem through a quick or convenient sale, we can meet their needs. Now, that's not for about 95, 99% of the people that are out there. And that's why we are doing so are working so hard to market and find those folks that are out there. But because there are people that are out there for, you know, they're going through divorces, or they have a property that needs to be fixed up and they just can't do the repairs to get it to be the $100,000 value. Maybe, you know, it's COVID, they don't want people tracking in through their property, so they want the convenience. There's tons of different reasons why people actually would sell. I mean, liken it to a pawn shop. Pawn shops exist everywhere, right? And there are reasons why people will take their bike or take their jewelry or take their power tools and sell it for well below the market value because of, you know, all the different factors that go in there. And that's where we serve our purpose. That's the purpose that we serve, and we work hard for this. And so um in fact, I know some people who may feel like, hey, are you taking advantage of people when you're providing a low offer or getting at such a discounted price? And I actually have learned and see it from a different angle. Whenever I'm actually buying a property or I lock it up a little too high, and I'm telling my seller that, hey, I can sell this property quickly for you and I can solve those problems. And I'll let them know, hey, if you go with a realtor, or if you go, I try to explain from my humble opinion, all the offers or all the options that they may have to get the most out of their property. But if they go with me as a cash offer, I'm going to trade that speed and convenience for a discounted price. And I'll let them know all those steps. But if my discounted price is too high, and now I lock this deal up, and I can't sell it within 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and I'm pushing out there, and I have to keep going back to my seller and making adjustments, or, you know, worst case scenario, have to fall out and pull out of the deal.
Mhm.
I am not satisfying that seller. I am not meeting their needs. I'm actually causing a lot of stress on them. And so it actually serves the seller, the buyer, everyone better if I'm actually getting it at a price that is reasonable, makes sense to the market, because I can't send it to a buyer either if they're not able to make money off it as well. So
Mhm.
my whole job is to, you know, the buyers who are moving these deals, they're coming to us for convenience too, and they're respecting that we're making sure that they're going to be able to make a profit off of this, because that's what they're in the business for. And the seller is expecting that I am solving their problem and being convenient. So, for actuality, the more discounted price I can get, and the quicker I can sell it, the more I'm satisfying and keeping my promise to that seller, if that makes sense. And so another thing, so that's the 70% rule. Another way to view this also is thinking about a buy and hold buyer is looking at the actual purchase price, how much it's going to cost to fix it up and all that goes into it, and determining if that's going to be at least 1% to 2%, the higher the better. If the rent's going to be 1 to 2% of the sales price. So let's say it's $100,000 ARV, or let's say it's $100,000 that the buyer had to put in. That's including purchasing it, closing costs, rehab, all that stuff. They want to make sure that they're at least able to rent it out for $1,000 or more. The higher, the better. Now that
Okay.
changes as the market goes, as you go, higher price points. So $400,000, and of course it depends on the market. South Cali is different from South Baltimore, but if you have like a $500,000 house, you're not going to expect to be renting it out for $5,000 in this market. So it doesn't always fit. All these are just thumbs of rule. It doesn't always fit, but $100,000 house, that buyer is going to want at least to be able to rent it out for $1,000, preferably higher. And so if I know that I see a property and I can lock it up and I can still bake in my assignment fee, and that owner and that new buyer is still able to purchase it and still cash flow using that 1% to a higher rule, then I know I'm in a good place. So that's two school of thoughts looking at the 70% rule, for mostly for flippers and sometimes for buy and hold investors, as well as the 1% rule for buy and hold and rental investors. But the awesome way, and I have to shout out to Jamil Danji. He doesn't know me, but again, these folks that I look up to, who are like my mentors, don't even know it, have tons of information out there. He and other folks, I think Rafael Vargas does this as well, has shown a way to be very efficient with figuring out what you want to offer, and that is really looking at what is the market bearing, what are cash buyers buying those particular property for. So one way to look at that again in Propstream is you got your property in here, you go to Propstream, you're at public records. Propstream already auto-populates so that the square footage is within about 250 range, down and up, if that makes sense. So if it's, yep, so you got it right there. Then what I'll do is I'll go in here and I'll put in the beds it has, minimum 4 beds. And I think this is a 2-bath. Sometimes you have to play around with it, but let's see. So this is 4 beds, 2 baths. And I'll check just in case, I'll check and see what the MLS is over here. So what are they selling on the MLS here? And so you see right here, you have a 300,000, 303,000 one sold for 285,000. And you definitely go in, take a look at the pictures, make sure it's a property that's similar in structure, style, siding, and type, and all. And we're letting the pictures load up, and it looks like relatively it is there. I also make sure that I'm depending on your market, you want to make sure the radius is solid. For most markets, 0.5 is good. Baltimore, you really want to be like 0.25, but for the sake of our conversation, we'll keep it at 0.5. I'll also make sure the property class is the same, so residential, and this is a single family home. And so I usually want more. I want to have at least 5, but we have 2 right here. But I've actually literally sold this property, so I know it's pretty solid right here. So gives you 294,000. So that's pretty much your ARV right there that you know that you can work in. And then you back out the 70% rule minus the repairs, and that's looking at going to the property, looking at the property, and getting the rehab costs, which is another topic we'll go over I believe next week, but very soon.
Okay.
And
so you don't
so
calculate
yep.
yours in terms of the average sales price. You don't calculate it. You let Propstream calculate it for you.
Well, I'll go in. Like, so if there's a list of a ton of them, I will go in and I'll click off some that don't match. Like if I know it's like, if it's, so you may have some. So let me see. Let me put another address in that may gives us something that's more comparable to look at. Let's see. I don't know. 2910 West North Ave. This is probably going to be a lower end property. I'm pretty familiar with that market. Okay. There's a lot of board ups, a lot of tear downs and all. So you have to be very careful. I go to comparable sales. Now I will definitely over here put it at 0.25. Now you also have to be careful because some people in Baltimore, as you see, it says the square foot is 660 square feet. Some folks don't like their taxes to be the larger your square feet, the more they're hit with its tax assessment. So a lot of folks will report inaccurately. They're doing it for a while. So sometimes you have to take out the actual square footage in Baltimore. That's just knowing your market. Now here, again, this doesn't say beds and baths. So that's when you have to, do a little footwork or find out what it is. But I'm going to leave it blank right now because I'm so familiar with that market that I can at least see what Bath and Baths they're saying over here and 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 make an adjustment. Now, this is probably a residential income general home, so I'm going to put the property class as residential. Then I'll come down here, income general, boom. And so you see how it's average 39,423, but some of these are like 155, 7,900. So that's a huge range, a huge difference, right? 135. And so I'll click on what is the 155? Why is it saying that? And you see, it looks like the floors are finished. It does look like a townhouse. It has a porch. Looks like either wood or you can tell the flooring. It looks like it has steel, stainless steel appliances. Looks like the basement has been completely redone. And so, yeah, maybe other properties would sell for around that. I see a 155 here. I thought I saw another big one there. Where'd it go? No, maybe it wasn't up there. 136. This is kind of far away because it's based on the radius. But let's see, 3-bed, 1.5 bath. Yeah, it looks like it's a strong finish. Now it looks a little like a different type of, frontage. But so that's high end. But let's say I know this is like just a raggedy boredom. This is where it really important to know your market here, and this is also how you can tell what people are actually willing to pay for. So I go over to public record sale situation, and you click on cash buyers, and this is telling me what cash buyers are buying for, and that's extremely important because we talked about the 70% rule, we talked about the 1% rule, but really nothing matters more than what people are willing to pay for, right? What people are willing to buy the property for. And so I see some 6 beds over here stuff. So let me go ahead and get those out of the way. So I'm pretty sure that this is a 3-bed, 1.5 bath. So I'm going to put 3-bed 1.5, and that may eliminate a lot of our stuff here. So look, we got this. We have 60,000, 32,000, 7,900, 17,600. That Dukeland, I'm pretty sure it's like a board up, like as well. Yeah, like some water damage and all type of stuff in there. Yeah, this probably was a board up here. Yeah, it looked like it's going through some stuff. They did a good job taking some solid pictures to make it look better than it is, but you can tell that it needs a lot of work. It's probably a full gut right there. Pressberry is 2810, 17,600. Looks like it's kind of fixed up, doesn't look like a, doesn't like a, high end rehab, but it's there. And also what's also cool is as you start selling, you'll also know just, oh, I know I can sell this property for this amount over there.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like this was kind of fixed up right here. And so looking at this, I wouldn't go off the 60,000. I would still take a look at it though. Now looking at this, you would have to then know what your property looks like on the inside, and you get that from the conversation with your seller. They're telling you all type of stuff. Now sellers have a tendency to sometimes not tell the truth, but you at least can get a certain idea. If you can get boots on the ground and get out there to get pictures, that's great. But you're over here, and I would say, okay, if this property looks anything like 2810, I want to get it for about $10,000, $12,000 so that I can bake in my for this $5,000, $10,000 assignment. Maybe I can sell it for 20,000, 25,000. depending, because this is the end price here.
Mhm.
So that includes your assignment fee. So does that make sense?
Mhm.
Yeah. Oops. So being able to go, the most important thing is going to Propstream, going to public records, and clicking on cash buyers to see what cash buyers are buying for. Now, if you're doing the 70% rule and you want to see what like the ARV is, you could go to the MLS and see what people are, what the MLS is. You can also, since you have it on 0.25 radius, you can make it, um, you can check it by, you can, change the order so it's descending price. I see 160s, 165, 145, 135. So you can look at those and see if what the finish is like and where it's located to see if that's a justifiable ARV, as
Okay.
well if you're looking at for flippers. But I really like going to the public records and checking cash buyers to justify my um, uh, offer price. Of course, once you have the cash buyers, what cash buyers are buying for, you can just back out your assignment fee, 10,000, 15,000, or 5,000, depending on where you want, so you can have room to wiggle with.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is, when we finish this conversation here, I'll give you a few properties to practice on this weekend. And then, of course, when you're on the dialer, you can also practice with the live ammunition as well, Krystal. So
Okay.
I know there's long. I know there's a lot. And I'll also send you a link to Jamil Danji's awesome YouTube that shows how to use Zillow, which is, of course, a free app, to do a very similar thing. It's with very good accuracy. I like Propstream because it's directly connected to the MLS. Zillow is a little slower, but as far as having something free and something that's awesome, and you learn from Jamil Danji, who's an awesome guy. So
Okay.
we'll do that. All right.
Okay.
All right. So let's say the last little bit of this. Let's say uh, how would you present this offer to your seller after you've qualified? Maybe this is your second time on the phone, or maybe it's at the end of a nice conversation. And so there's a couple of things, a couple of strategies that I use. I'll do the well. One, I'll ask them. Well, I'll say, Krystal, do you happen to know how much properties are going for in the area? And so I may ask them that question, right? Because at the beginning, remember in our script, we let them know, hey, we base our offers off the market value and the
Mhm.
condition. And so, do you happen to know how much property is going for in that area? And that's one great question to ask. Um, or then I'll look on PropStream and say, hey, well, it looks like properties are selling for, and I'll go for the lower property. It looks like 2827 North Avenue. Yep. Well, it looks like it's sold for 7,900. Does that sound like it makes sense or to you? And hear what they say. If they're, yeah, that sounds about right, or no, my property needs to get way more than that, or yeah, so at least you know where you are. That's another thing. So that's two right there. One, ask them how much they think it's valued for. Two, asking them, comparing it to a third party property, and say it looked like investors are buying for in this area, this much. Or if you've actually bought a property over there, well, I know we bought 2700 North Avenue for 16,000. Does that sound like something that the area that you'd be looking for? You know, or you can ask, uh, or you can do the range. Well, if I'm seeing properties going for about 20 to 30,000, especially if you want it at about 40,000, you always go below what you're asking for, so you can always come up. So I think probably going for like 20, 30,000. Does that sound like something right there? So you're giving the range, again, and they'll respond accordingly and all. Or don't hold me to it. Or let's say that they give you an offer, maybe you're expecting 30,000. They're saying, well, I was looking for like 25,000. Just hold your breath, breathe in and out. Don't be like, well, great, we jumped on it. You're always trying to come up to that price. So they're already below what you want to get for. Okay, 25,000. And you may ask, okay, so how'd you come up with that price? That's another thing. Well, I want to make sure that I, have to pay closing costs. I have to do this. So they may be expecting to pay something that you might be able to offer as a service to even get it even lower, or at least you get to know and understand what their pain point is again, and what they're looking for. So they like that. Okay, 25,000. All right. Well, I'll check with my team. I'll see what we can do and see if we can get that approved and see if we can come up to that price. Again, remember, always trying to come up to that price right there. Um, um, and I think those are the range. Comparing it to other properties that have sold, asking them what they think it's valued for, are different ways to present an offer. And if they back out, if they're like, no, you're completely off, they're always right. You know, I may be wrong, I may be mistaken. Let me just check with my team again. Maybe I have my numbers off here. We'll definitely take a look again and see if we can see where we are. And then sometimes you're really like, yeah, well, yeah, it sounds like you're looking for this. Um, doesn't sound like we're the buyers at that price, but you know, I may have some other folks who I know might be able to buy at that price if you're interested, or I can refer you to a realtor and they can help you, like, you know, make sure you fix it up or do whatever, or make sure you do whatever you need to do to get that price out of there. Does that sound like something you'd be interested in?
Mhm.
And yeah, so those are different things that different uh, talking points or ways to present the offer to the seller. So this week I'm going to send you about five properties to comp, or today I'm going to send you about five properties to comp, and I would love to see what you think they are. Send them back to me, and then we'll be incorporating this into conversations when you're qualifying leads.
Okay.
I did a lot of babbling on there. What are the questions or thoughts do you have?
So I know you were saying like just now with the comps, like you were saying like the example you used was like, oh, you know, in your mind you might have said 30,000, but then they said 25. So like what if you know you ask the question like how did you come up with that number? And they're like, oh, well, that's just what I think is worth. So do you give them the 25 or do you go lower? Or do you try
Um,
to 30?
well, it really all depends on the situation. Like if they're asking for 25, like if you say 25 and I say,
Mhm.
okay, great, done, what do you think they're going to feel like? Like if I say 25, you want 25? Okay, good, cool. 25, I got you. We're going to do that.
Oh, just right then and there?
Yeah. What do you think? How do you think? How would you feel? How do you think the buyer may feel? And like if you say you want, all right, I want to sell this for 25. You're like, okay, cool, 25.
About to say you either desperate, or you trying to scam me. That's how I would.
I hear that. And sometimes it's like, dang, I should ask for more. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like dang, he or she, they would have taken more. Dang, I knew I should have asked for more. Um, and so people don't like being sold to, but they like, buying something, you know. So even though it's a reverse role, we're buying the right to buy their we're selling the right to buy their property. You know, it's a weird reverse role the way we're playing here. So they don't want to feel like they left money on the table. So if you say 25, if they say 25,000, you still want to feel like give them the impression that you're fighting up, with them, fight against your team to get them to that 25,000 asking for, so that they don't feel like, oh man, I should ask for more for less.
Okay.
Um, and now if they're able to give you, if they want, if you say, okay, well, I talked to my team and we're looking like around 20, is that something that may work for you? And even though you were thinking 30 and and that solves their problem, yeah, you worked hard. This is skill. This is, you get that 20. If you know their situation and they really need that 25, you still want them to feel like they arrived at that. But yeah, okay, looks like we might be able to do 25. Would you now? This is a great question to ask. If we can get This is an awesome question to ask. If I can get that 25 approved, would you be able to sign today?
Mhm.
And then they, let them respond. All right, so I'm going to check with my team, Mr. Seller. I'm going to call you back in about 10 minutes and see if I can get that approved. And if we're able to, we'll just move forward with the paperwork and everything today. Then call them back. Hey, looks like I was able to get 20. Looked like I was able to get 25 approved, and so looks like the next step will be, so what's the next step? And they're like, well, I guess you send me some paperwork over, and all right, so I'll send it over to you through your email, and I'll call you right back so that we can review it, because I know if I saw something, if I'm selling something like this, you want to make sure that you understand everything. So we're going to review the contract and make sure that we move forward, and then that's another conversation about how you ensure that the deal gets locked up and the seller doesn't have seller's remorse and stuff. But we'll talk about that at the next video.
Okay. Yeah, that was my biggest question. Um, did you said you're gonna send me the stuff for Jamil Danges?
Right. I'm gonna let this actual video transcribe so that you have this and you can always review as well, and then send a link with Jamil, some YouTube link on there. It's awesome work. And I'll
Okay.
also send you properties to practice comping.
Okay.
And that may be something you want to add. Just try to comp as many properties as you can a day. You know, you give yourself a number. Maybe you comp 5 a day, and the more you do it, the easier it'll become. There's some people who comp tons more than 5, but 5 seems really realistic to be able to do. You can even play with some of the properties that you're calling when you call, like save the address and see how much you would put in there, and then put it in the notes, so we can compare it. And I'll come back and compare it and let you know what I thought or what I saw, and we can compare notes.
Okay. Okay. And one thing, I did get like my first, in a way, real kind of cuss out yesterday.
Oh man, what happened?
So I called and talked, like the guy answered the phone really nicely, right? So
Right.
I went through like, hi, I'm calling from Aqua Team Properties. I know this call is out of the blue. Was calling about your property at X, Y, and Z address. Oh, he went off on me.
Mm,
And I realized, like, I don't feel like that first one that I got, that the dude kind of was like, I'm tired of all y'all calling me. He was
right.
like, oh no, you call me again, I'm a do. I was like, oh my, I said, oh,
Yeah.
you bad. But I realized I didn't say anything. I was like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
I understand. I was like, we won't call you no more. And I was
Right.
like, have a great day. Hung up the phone.
Right. Well, here's the
But
deal. Oh, sorry.
I kind of laughed on the inside this time, because I was
Yeah.
like, hey, that didn't really, like, the emotions that I got the first,
Yeah.
it didn't muster those up this time.
Wow. Well, nice. Well, that's that thick skin gets built. You know, that's yeah. You got definitely have to have thick skin and not let the energy translate to the next call, because I mean it's hard. I admit I don't like when I get hung up on. I just this is a pet peeve of mine. But I have to remember that's not on me, and I'm interfering with their life. We're calling them. You know, so I mean they're upset. There's some justification to that. I don't feel like there's any justification to be rude to another human being, but at the same time, I can see it. And sometimes you can actually like I don't know if I told you, but my mom is actually taking inbound calls when people call back, and she is the queen of diffusing stuff. And one way is like, oh, you just name it. Oh, it seems like we just agree. It seems like people are really bothering you, or it seems like we're is very upsetting for you. I mean, maybe that sounds a little jerkish, but really, like, I definitely understand. Oh, man, yeah, yeah. I know we're harassing you all or whatever. Or if you want just to wash off the energy and just say, okay, sorry, thank you, sir. We won't call you back, and make sure you don't call them back. Yeah, but you're growing. That's all good, Krystal. It's all awesome, awesome. Well, I appreciate that. And I'm gonna stop this right here at this time so that we can